So we will be discussing a little bit about the planetary alignments and how it's affecting our current energy and what to expect over the next, few weeks. Okay. So energetically, there's a lot happening with the planetary alignments. As we know, the 25th, yesterday, we had the planetary alignments happen, and that vibration will be with us for the next probably 10 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is neat. I'm soaking it on. No, soak it in. Soak it in.
That is playing along with a lot of the other aspects that have happened over the last few weeks. January is not the true new year, so to speak, remember? So it's very much about, we're still in this hibernation period. We're still in this period of healing and creating and letting go and moving through all of these energetic shifts that are literally propelling us to let things go. So whatever we've been holding on to over the last 4 years, January, February, it's going to shake us to our core if we're holding on to things that are not meant for us any longer. And it's like, shaking a pop bottle. You keep shaking it, and then something little happens, and that crack opens, and it's right? So that's where we are energetically. The planetary alignment, the new moon coming up, the full moon in Cancer that we just had, the Kazami that we did, or Kazimi that we just had, and every single alignment is all about purging, releasing, aligning, and inner work. So everything that is happening is directing us inwards. So when we feel triggered, when we feel upset at something or angry at something or anything outside of us that invokes a feeling within us, that's a map showing us, hey, you need a little bit of attention here, you need a little bit of attention there. You need to get this part of your self-love or that part of your self-love, or you need to let it go. Because when we're holding on to the things like I was talking about earlier, carrying that garbage bag full of our past with us, we need to unpack that. If we aren't being the conscious creators that we are, we're going to get Sparta kicked in this next couple of months, because our teams are just like, listen. And again, we have free will. That's our human superpower. So we are making our own choices, and our teams are yelling at us to work with this energy and allow ourselves to be free, allow ourselves to disengage from the things that are not serving us, disengage from the things that are not anchored in the life that we're creating. Like if you have dreams and visions and, oh, I see myself doing this, and it's because it exists. It's just you haven't matched that alignment yet because of the thinking mind. That's what holds us back. The logic gets in the way, and then we start thinking, how, when, can I afford this? Rather than just allowing it. When you step into this place of allowing, and you're just like, I know that everything is for me, and I know that what will be, and I trust that everything is unfolding in divine timing for me. And when you take that energy within you and you allow it to expand outside of you, because remember, as within, so without. So if you say all these beautiful words, but you don't feel it, and you don't trust it, and you don't believe it, it's not going to be shown to you in your human experience, because we can't fake it. We went through that era of fake it till you make it. Bull. Bull. Because you have to believe it and know it to actually experience it and see it. Because I can't say, I believe this, that, and the other. Oh, why isn't it happening for me? It's like how I work with spirit. I see spirits or energy, whatever you want to call it. And when it started happening for me, I didn't have a clue what it was. I'd feel someone come sit on my bed, and I'd be like, what was that? And I was scared, and fear was very predominant within me because nobody was there to explain it to me. But once I released resistance and realized that, hold on, I'm the power. I'm the strength. So nothing can hurt me unless I say you can. And that also has to do with energetically. When we allow things outside of us to invoke feelings of fear, anger, injustice, and all this kind of stuff, like our ancestors are not here saying, hey, guys, continue suffering. We went through all of our trials and tribulations and horrible things so that you could perpetuate more suffering. No, they want us to let it go and move on. Create the world that we came here to create. Like, you guys are all here for a reason. We're all here for a reason, right? And we are the lighthouses. So the more we hold that light, and the more we allow ourselves to work with these energies that are now in play, like the age of Aquarius or whatever you want to call it. And timing is a very human thing. Spirit doesn't know time, right? Spirit knows energy. So what we feel that we may not speak to anybody else is what is projected into the universe. And you're just like, oh, you want more of that? Okay, cool. Here you go. So if you are avoiding things or compartmentalizing things or not acknowledging your feelings, Spirit's like, oh, you want more of that to hold in? Okay, no problem. Here's some more. So work with this energy. And February is, so January was very much about things coming to the surface, the light shining into the darkness and things being shown to us, whether they're within ourselves or outside of us. Like things are literally coming to surface that the darkness can't hide anymore. It's impossible because the light is so strong and so abundant because people have woken up. We're not being blinded by the nonsense that we were blinded by, 20 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever. We're seeing the authenticity of things. And like even people, if you are around people that you used to vibe with and you're kind of like, I'm not feeling that connection anymore. It's because we're shifting. And I don't know if you guys watch, is it Marvel? The multiverse? Yeah. So Marvel multiverse. That's what it is, guys. And we've been shown all these things historically through movies, books, TV, and it's like hiding in plain sight. It's the same energy. So all of these things that we were programmed to think that they were mystical and nonsense and just Hollywood and just, there's truth there. There is truth there. And we're stepping into the era of knowing our own truth. And how I see the world is through my own perspective, because think about our crown chakra is like a filter. So the life you've experienced, so everything you see outside of you that gets filtered through your life experience. So if I was raised to say the sky is blue and someone else was raised to say the sky was purple, who's right, who's wrong? There is no right, there is no wrong. It's about perspective and how I choose to filter it. So it has nothing to do with trying to prove yourself or trying to say that the way I look at things is right. No, it's just the way I look at things. The way you look at things, the way you look at it. There's no right, there's no wrong, it's perspective. But it's about aligning with this higher perspective that is offered to us through this beautiful time of expansion, of ascension, of whatever you want to call it. People have different words for different things. So whether it's, people talk about New Earth, people talk about 5D, people talk about all these, because humans, we need to put words on things to make sense, right? So it's however it translates to you. What resonates with you is for you. What doesn't isn't for you. So really use this energy and this time of empowerment and time of creating your own reality for your benefit. So if you see the world as a terrible place and you foresee terrible things happening and you engage with things that support that, that's what you're going to experience. And it's just that simple, because what we give our attention to, we expand and we empower. So this is what I talked earlier about being the lighthouse. Where I shine my light is where I'm giving my power to. So if I'm shining my light over here and it feels really icky and my light's really not penetrating that and it's giving me kickback and I'm feeling really gross, or like, you feel fear, or you feel like, oh my God, this is horrible, I'm moving. If I cannot help this situation physically, I'm shifting my light because this doesn't feel good. So I know this is not my alignment. When we don't feel good, when we feel angry, when we feel triggered, when we feel sad, when we feel anxiety, any of these things, that means we've just slipped out of alignment. But that's okay. We have to be okay with not being in alignment. If we were always completely happy and everything was rainbows and butterflies, why are we here? It'd be boring. But we always know that the anchor, which is I call it my inner source. That's the love. That is the light. That is my essence, my soul, whatever you want to call it. I always know that's there because energy cannot be created or destroyed. Everything is connected. If you put, I don't know, like the water in my cup, the water is touching my cup. The cup is touching the air. The air is touching me. You know what I mean? Like there is no degree of separation energetically. None. It's just density. So we have to have that place within ourselves to know that everything is connected and I can choose what energy I choose to empower. Like when we talk to our water, when we program water, that is such a beneficial and easy thing to do. You talk to your water, I love you, today's a fantastic, however you want to, say it. But I mean, again, it's energy because you're speaking positivity, and there's been scientific proof that, when you talk nasty to water, the crystals formulate in really icky ways, and when you talk lovely into water, it's beautiful. It's like snowflakes and stuff like that. So it's scientific as well, because for some logical minded people, it's hard.
Yes.
Okay, we're over here too. We're over here too. We have the Capricorn too. We got it. We understand.
But it's hard, right? Because
Yeah.
it feels challenging to understand that logic, because you're like, make it make sense.
Yeah.
But you can't. Like, I cannot, how I see things and how I interpret things and how I view things is through my perspective and through my team. So I can say this is how I see it, and somebody who is very logical minded, that doesn't make sense to me. So they have to figure it out in their own way and in their own timing. So this is why we're all on our own journey, and using the energy that is happening. You know, January's almost done, but January surfaced all of these things, all of these old emotions, all of these triggers and all these kinds of things, and it felt very like a roller coaster, up, down. Like, I felt very bipolar this month, you know, up and down. I wake up happy, and then 2 minutes later I'm like, you know, so, but I was just flowing with it. I was like, well, this is what I'm feeling right now. Okay. So not putting an attachment to what we're feeling, because like I had a client who was going through something and they didn't know why they were feeling a certain way. I said, well, don't try to make something up. Allow it to show you. And then about 2 weeks later, they had, you know, an epiphany and the realization. So, but when we try like to put a name on something, I'm feeling like this because, oh, it must be because of this or must be because of that. If you don't know it within you, you will. But it's at, like, our teams are like, let it go. Be present, be here, and let it go. Like, let it go and let it show. Because when we try to make it fit, it's like putting, you know, a square thing into a round. It doesn't work. And then we try to force it, just like we can't force like manifestations. I was like, but I want it now. But we're coming out of this era of immediate gratification. I want it now. I want it now. And when we get something without working for it, so to speak, I'm talking energetically. Like, it's not the same joy. It's not the same like appreciation, because we didn't learn what we came here to learn for this lesson, because somebody tried to fix it for us, and that's a Band-Aid. You know, so we have to, like, I always encourage my clients, you know, there's multiple aspects of healing and of counseling and of, you know, working through all these emotions that humans have. But it's based in learning to appreciate your emotions. If I never felt hate, I wouldn't understand love, and I wouldn't appreciate love. If I didn't feel sadness, I wouldn't understand happy. Like, there's a balance there. And I have a deep appreciation for these things that we see it through our human that are wonderful and joyful, because I've experienced things that definitely were not wonderful and joyful. But I've gained that appreciation because I've experienced things that, you know, kicked my ass. So it's really important for us to be in this place of acceptance, of allowance, and use these energies to, like a map, to guide us to say, okay, well, I was triggered by this, so that's a me problem. Like, if somebody says, hey, you're an asshole, and I'm like, you know, and you get all mad, and now I want to prove that I'm not. So I'm going to get mad at you, and I'm going to throw the same energy back at you.
Yeah.
Word are we solving? I don't think I'm an asshole, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. And, you know, how you feel about me is not my responsibility. If I have not done anything, like, directly to you, obviously, to cause that, then, you know, that's it. That's a you problem that you feel that way about me. And it's a me problem of how I feel about you and how I receive that. Because as soon as I give Kid back to you, that's our contract of anger. That's our contract of resentment. You know, we are signing this contract to be like, okay, we're going to fight. And why? There's no purpose in trying to prove what you already know you are. You are a loving, kind, divine being of source, of your sovereign being of love. You need to know that. What anyone else thinks is not your responsibility. So, yeah, like, January has been the beginning of this drastic change that is happening energetically. And we are being told, guided, directed to use this energy for our highest self. Like, your only purpose is to be the highest version of you. That's it. It's not here. I'm not here to be somebody's savior. I'm not here to be somebody's kick toy. I'm here to be the best version of myself. And in that, I help everybody closest to me and help them to be them. Like, if I hold myself to this standard of higher perspective where I just allow things to be what they are and to learn as I'm going, then I'm holding that vibration for the people closest to me, my children, my grandchildren, so on and so on, my parents. Like, we're healing forwards and backwards generations. But when you stand in your power and you stand in this place of, this is who I am, and I'm confident in who I am a loving, divine, sovereign being of love and light. And I know it sounds cheesy and corny because people will roll their eyes at that, but it is. That's what I am. And when we hold that version of ourselves, we attract that version of everybody closest to us. So because I'm up here and I'm vibing up here, and I'm in this powerhouse of like 5D or whatever you want to call it, I attract that frequency of everybody closest to me. I allow them to be who they are in their highest state, because that's who I am being. So when we are in this place of empowerment for ourselves, like I used to be a fixer. I wanted to heal everybody and save everybody and fix everybody.
Thanks for that.
I love you. But it took a lot of healing for me to realize that I can't fix anybody. I can't heal anybody. I've never had a healthy romantic relationship in my life because I attracted people that needed healing and needed fixing, you know, and that was a me problem, you know. Now I've been, you know, on my celibacy journey for 5 years now, and on this journey of just personal empowerment. And the change that I feel within me, and knowing that I can love somebody and not have them in my life, you know, and there is no animosity, there's no anger, I hope that you live a beautiful life, whether you're in my life or not. But I can also choose the frequencies that I engage with. And that in itself is such an empowering thing, because you know that if you're exhausted when you've been around somebody, or you feel tired, or you just feel like a little angry or annoyed, if you feel anything but you, then you know maybe their energy is very dense, or they're just not in alignment, and maybe that relationship is just not for you at this time. You know, sometimes we come for a full circle, and we come back and, you know, we see a friend we haven't seen in 10 years, and you guys click, and it's like, woo! And you feel great because they've done some work, you've done some work, and now this is the time for you guys to be that energetic match. But it's like, February is really a shake month. Like, we're gonna be shaken to our core. In the best way. In the best way. So think about, you know how they used to do the gold, they did, what's that thing called? The
Sifter?
Yes.
Sifter, yeah. So February is the sifter. So all this gunk that is being poured in, we're being left with those gold nuggets, if we allow it to be. But if we put some mesh over that shifter, or, you know, put big rocks in the shifter, then we know we're not going to shift, then we're going to be holding that in March. We don't want that. March is, number one, the astrological new year. March is all about, like, when we hit the spring equinox, that is the time we are planting seeds to say, okay, we've come out of hibernation. The ground is now, you know, fertile and ready for us to plant seeds, because we can't plant seeds in winter. The ground's hard, right? So we're using January and February to go through this shifter kind of thing, so that we are left with gold, and we are left with the highest frequency of ourselves, and we are left with this knowing and this knowledge that everything we need is within us, and we are just these projectors. Within me, I see a beautiful world. I see everything that is unfolding for our highest and our greatest good, and that's what I give my attention to, and that's what I shine my light on, and that's what I will experience. You know, I had a discussion with a client, and they had encountered a lot of racism in their life. I was blessed enough not to, because it wasn't something that was in my radar. I was just me. Like, I didn't define myself as a color, or I just defined myself as this human being trying to figure it out. And they were very kind of hostile during the conversation, because they were, you know, I experienced it. And I was like, but now you're programmed that you, in this place of, you expect that experience. So you expect to encounter racism. You expect to encounter certain things, because historically, this is what your human has experienced. So what does your human now want to experience through who you are right now? We have to do that shift within ourselves to say, I don't accept this toxic energy, or this energy that is not, you know, serving, and that is horrible and yucky. I don't accept that in my energetic field. And doing this shift, this is a place of allowance to say, I only allow good energy within me and around me because that's who I am. I'm not racist. I think everybody is inclusive and going through their own thing, and everybody deserves love. I don't care what religion you are, what color, I don't care. I look for good people. So in my human experience, that's what I've experienced. Even like going to the grocery store, like the teller is always super nice, like the simple little things, you know? And to me, that's power, because I'm attracting the best version of other people, you know? And I'm a big believer in leaving people better than, you know, they were before they met you. And if you just smile at somebody, or you hold the door for somebody, you buy someone a coffee, I don't know. Really simple things attract more love, because we are all magnetic beings. And January, February, and March are like, we have all these retrogrades happening, and I love retrogrades because they just dig up all the stuff that you need to know, and all the stuff that, like, people are like, oh my God, what's in retrograde now? Because they're feeling away. But they give you power, because it's like, oh, that was kind of stuffed down there a little bit, so let me just get that out. Like, I don't want to hold the energy that is not serving me and not helping me create this life that I see for myself and my family and the people that I love. You know, I see happily ever after. So I had a download the other day from my team, and they were like, you need to revert back to your original story. So before we're born, we write a book, let's say. So it's kind of like the Akashic Records. We write a book, and this is what my story is going to be. We're born, now we're the editor of this book. And sometimes we edit pure garbage. We're like, let's just add this trauma in there, let's just add that trauma in. You know, because we're human and we're figuring it out as we go. And we're also born with amnesia, so we don't remember our power and who we are when we're born. Because our humanness, it gets very diluted, especially according to who we associate with, our friends, our family, all of that. So, like, growing up, I was told a lot of things, like, oh, I was stupid, I wasn't focused, I couldn't accomplish this, and I'm never going to be, oh, why can't it be more like that? All of that nonsense. And that became that was my reality. That's what I aligned with, because of the people closest to me told me all of these things. So I should be that because, well, they said I should. And now, over the last 20 years, I've come into my own identity, and I don't identify with that anymore. I identify with joy, I identify with happiness, I do what's good for me, you know? And yeah, I have things to work through, obviously, we're human, right? And life challenges me in different ways every single day. And sometimes those challenges suck, and they're hard. But most of the times, I'm like, my turnover is quick now. Like, I'll wake up feeling a certain way, something will happen, I'll feel a certain way, and I'll work through it in that moment rather than compartmentalizing it or stuffing it down or ignoring it. I'll feel my way through it. And then I always come back to center, I always come back into that alignment. So reverting to our original stories, the stories we wrote before we were born, before we became human, that story is our original blueprint, I guess you would say, where we have our happily ever after. So we have to be kind of re-edit what we're doing from right now moving forward. What's happened prior to this, if things are still surfacing and you're still going through this transition of healing, allow it. I allow myself to heal. I give myself permission to heal. I give myself permission to feel, because that's what is helping us to create this next moment. So taking time to be a conscious creator. You're holding your pen. What are you writing for your story? Are you writing in, I have a beautiful, healthy life, my body is strong and healthy, my mind is strong and healthy, I am open, and like, how, like, what does your character look like in your own book? Are they miserable and sad and hateful and nasty and, you know, screw the world? Or are they loving and compassionate and ebbing and flowing and learning and growing and evolving? You know, we are the story writers. And this energy this year is all of 2025 is about fruition and things coming into fruition. So tangible things. But it's coming from how you're writing your story. So we have to be conscious creators. And, you know, I always say every day, I experience my human life through my inner source. Because that way I always know that I'm supported, I'm loved, I am love. You know, we are the love of the universe, and we are universal love. So it's so important to, know that you have that pen and know that you have the power to write your story and how you want to write your story. How does your character feel? How does your character look? How does your character act? Like, you know what I mean? Like, be the conscious creator and write your story according to who you are in this moment right now, not who you were, a year ago, 6 months ago, even last week. Who you are right now, because we are growing and evolving every single day. We're getting a lot of downloads. We are getting a lot of so the CMEs, which is coronal mass ejections from the sun. We have a lot of sun activity, which has been happening over the last couple of years, and the sun touches everything. So if the sun has a CME, it takes anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of years for it to hit us on the earth. And it's integrated into everything that's on earth. Trees, ants, people, everything, the earth itself. And it comes into this balance with the Schumann resonance, because that's the heartbeat of the earth, basically. And they find a balance. So it's like divine masculine is the sun, divine feminine is the earth. And we are creating, like we were talking about earlier, a new earth being born. So, a lot of people are talking about the world end and all this kind of stuff. Is it ending? Yes. Energetically. There is a degree of separation happening. So we're deciding, do we want to be on the 3D earth, where the war and the hate and all of the dense energy is, or do we want to be integrated with our light bodies and our human cells into a 5D higher frequency of love, of community, of alignment, of peace? Because it's there. Otherwise we wouldn't feel how we feel. What you envision is already there. My world is beautiful. It's peaceful, it's harmonious. We are community again. We've come back to the roots, all of this kind of amazing stuff. That's what I see, because that's what I feel, and that's what my team shows me. Is there a 3D earth where there's a whole bunch of horrible stuff going on? Yeah. But I shine my light towards what feels good to me. And I don't shine my light in here because I can't do anything about this. I can't fix this for anybody else. If every single person stood as their lighthouse, this shift would happen like that, right? But we have to reprogram ourselves in a way where we're not believing in the hate and the crime and the dense energy. We're believing in the love. We're believing in the peace. This is who we are authentically. This is our intrinsic self, not this. But what do you believe? What we believe we create. So from within me, I believe this, and this is what I experience in my human existence. Does that mean that bad things aren't going to happen? No. That means I have the power within me to deal with them and to roll with the punches. And I know within myself that life it is what it is. And there's the last generation has kind of made that very toxic statement. It is what it is, man. Yeah. But it's not a toxic statement. It's about empowerment. It is what it is. It is out of my control, and I release control of the uncontrollable. It is not mine to control. So these first 3 months of this year, power. It's about personal power. It's about taking your power back. It's about, what do you want for yourself? Who do you want to associate with? What kind of people do you want in your life? What kind of feelings do you want to have? What kind of, how do you want your life to look? So this first 3 months is really taking that power to say, this is what my story looks like. And doing it from within ourselves where we trust it, because we have to believe it within ourselves, know it within ourselves in order to see it. We were raised, you have to see it to believe it, completely backwards. We have to believe it so we can experience it. And when we take this time to, I don't journal. Very, very, very rarely do I journal. But yeah. It's not a me thing. I journal once in a blue moon, but mostly for me, it's about talking. I talk to my team constantly. Sometimes I talk out loud, which my daughter will.
Who are you talking to? What? Come downstairs. I'm like, is there somebody else down here?
Full conversations.
Right.
Full conversations. Because our teams are an extension of us. We can't lie to them. If I say, I'm fine, they're like, and things will come out and they will oh, you're fine. And they'll keep pushing me until and say, okay, I'm not fine. But I've also come into that place where I know it's okay not to be okay. And I know it's okay to be okay. You know, like I have experienced a lot of stuff over the last few years that were dense, heavy, horrible. And it took me a long time to work through those things, to know that I can't suffer with the suffering and help them at the same time. It's like, I can't swim and you can't swim and we're both gonna jump in the water. Who's gonna save who? We're both gonna drown. So instead, I hold a version, I call it my pocket universe. I hold a version of the person that I'm focusing on, and I hold them in this bubble of they're healthy, they're happy, they are loving, they are living their best lives, and this is the version I hold of them. Rather than holding a version of somebody who's sick, suffering, and going through hell. And that helps me to hold space for them when their human needs to have a conversation with me or vent or cry or whatever it is. I can hold that version of them without suffering with them, because I can't help them if I'm suffering with them. If we're both like I'm not saying not being compassionate, like I cry with them but I always hold that place of I love you and I'm here for you and I hope that you can trust that everything is going to work out. You know, and have that kind of a mindset rather than the people that we used to call them ride or die. It's like, I'm mad, so you're mad. So we're gonna be mad together. And now, like, you're gonna pump me up and I'm gonna get even more mad because you're pumping me up. I don't need that anymore. Yeah. Do you know what he did?
What do I wear?
Right?
Tell me what I wear.
Do I need to get the Vaseline and the running shoes? Like, right?
Not the Vaseline.
Well, yeah. You can't grip me if I'm covered in Vaseline. Yeah. That was me. And like, ride or die. Like, we going? Where we going? Should we bring the shovel? Like,
That's where we're at. We're dying. This is not life.
But that's still like real.
That's my generation.
That is real. That's how, especially
Nobody
when,
left behind.
no, we love each other and like, I got you, girl, I got
Yeah.
you. Like, that was me. I was the fighter. People
Yeah.
would say, somebody said this and did it. It's like, where are we going?
No
You know?
questions asked.
No questions asked. I got the shovels.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
And that,
That's
got the shovels. Why do you think I always keep my trunk open?
Yeah.
But it's like,
I'm proud too.
Yeah.
She'd be saying where
we were raised like,
She don't have to give you no details. She just has
No.
to say what the person did, where the person is, and I'll just say, what do I need to wear?
Yeah.
Do I need to bring a shovel?
I didn't even know what they need to do. Like, they hurt me. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Parents
that's
are loyal. That's what we'll do. Always
Yeah.
defend our friend.
Exactly. But that's how we were programmed, in that sense of you have to fight with that person and
Right.
stand by them, go to war together.
Yeah.
No.
No, and when you go to the club with your girls, you don't leave anybody. Where is she?
Well, that's different. Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
find them and you
Yeah.
make sure that
End
they're
her
together. You never
operation.
leave without somebody. And if somebody messes with them, all girls
Yeah.
chest out.
Yeah.
Right?
Like we stand up for each other. We
Yeah.
care about each other. We look after each other. But we're not at war anymore.
No.
Like we have all been a warrior at some point in our life for some reason.
Yeah.
But now it's time for us to put that down and be the higher frequency of who we are. To know that I don't have to, like, the more I combat something, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
Like we have to fight for this and fight for that. Me fighting for something empowers that, because I'm putting a force against it. And I'm not saying we allow bullshit or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm not putting the force against the things that don't feel good to me any longer. I'm looking at the other side of that and saying, instead of focusing on this horrible thing, I'm going to focus on this wonderful thing. And they always say that one person that has a higher frequency, that's like really grounded in love and peace and all that kind of stuff, is like 1,000 people. Because that love, that light, that 5D is so much stronger than the density of the 3D. So when we empower ourselves in that place of, I choose love, I choose to be a harmonious and peaceful person, and that's what I expect, you know, because we are magnetic. Anything I put out comes right back to me.
Yeah.
So if I expect peace and I choose to be peaceful, then I will experience peace. And I've learned that in the physical life of being human over the last few years. Because I used to be very combative. I was hostile. You know, I still have my moments. That part's still there. Like I said, I'm healed, but I'm also healing. And I don't know till I know. So if I think this is healed and something triggers me, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
not quite. That's okay. Where before I would get so mad at myself and I'd be so frustrated, like thought I was over this, and now I'm just like, all right, let me just love this a little bit more and do what I have to do for me. So it's that ebb and flow, and it's that transparency. When we are transparent in this life is easy because nothing sticks and everything flows. When we don't hold the density of life, we don't hold the density of what our human being is, and we embrace our light body, we can be transparent. So whatever is coming at us flows through us. We can witness it, we can work with it, we can do whatever, but it's flowing through us rather than hitting us. And it's not easy for us as human beings to be transparent, especially when we're feeling all of these plethora of feelings. But learning to appreciate your emotions, learning to appreciate your feelings, and having more understanding of astrology, of your like your birth date and all that kind of stuff, like numbers. Like when you know the time you were born, like say you do your natal chart or whatever, and you know the time you were born, that like, you know, our sun, moon, rising, all that kind of stuff. There's so much more to it, guys. There's so much more. Like when you dig deeper and investigate like your roots, I guess you would say, because there's so many different types of astrology as well. There's shamanic astrology, there's Vedic astrology. Like, there's so many different types and different perspectives, and it's freaking amazing. And when you research, like I did astrology book for my daughter-in-law and my grandson.
And your daughter, what the heck, the baby wants me.
You didn't let me finish.
Sorry, you should have started with that though.
My daughter.
Yeah.
I made two astrology books for my daughter, one for my grandson, one for my daughter-in-law, and I love you. I'm sorry, you were right there. And it's like I made it for my grandson. He's only he's 10 months now, but like so that his mom and his dad could have a deeper understanding of him. And he's spicy and fiery, and he's going to be a handful. You know, so but it gives you a deeper understanding of, oh, like when I did my astrology chart for the first time, like my full one, I was like, oh, wow, that makes sense. Because I was like, why am I me? Like, and it's because my astrology chart is everywhere. Like, I think I have probably one of everything in my chart. So this is why I am who I am. But it gave me so much more perspective on myself. It gave me so much more details, and it's fascinating to me that all of these things can align, whether it's numerology, astrology, whatever. But research yourself, learn about yourself, and
or get her to do it for you. It's just gonna take her a while, but you can hire her to do that.
Yeah. I do the astrology
Small
books
part.
and stuff like
Well,
that. I enjoy doing
It's on
that.
camera, you gotta say it.
Well, yeah, it's one of my services, but it's because I enjoy doing it, and I really feel like the more we know about ourselves, the more we learn about ourselves, the more power we have. Because we just get, and like our North Node and South Node, guys. The North Node and South Node went into Pisces and Virgo this year, on January 11th. That is our purpose, that is our karma, that is everything. And because Pisces and Virgo are on the opposite sides of the scale, that's why if a Pisces and a Virgo get together, it's either a beautiful, harmonious, beautiful bond, or it's hell.
I thought Taurus was opposite places.
Pisces and Virgo are opposite. It's like it's hell.
Okay.
So, yeah, I learned that the hard way. But yeah.
Buddy, so did I.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Wasn't even.
But it's like with this alignment, it's number one, it hasn't happened in decades, and this is truly like it's just falling into line with everything else that's going on this year. With like the key theme this year is alignment. What do you want to align with? Do you want to align with the toxicity and the garbage and all the stuff that is going on over here to distract us from this?
Distraction.
This is all all this distraction that's happening
Yes.
is to keep us from being ourselves.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, pay attention to all this garbage that you have no control over. You know, be over here where you feel stressed and when you feel anxious and when you feel angry and triggered. Or be over here when you're like, I see you, but I don't welcome you, and I don't have a contract with you. I'm over here shining my light where is for me, you know. And that's part of being transparent. That's part of being in that allowance energy to say, I allow the good, I allow the things that are for me, and everything else, it can just stay over there. I see it. I'm just not giving my energy to it. I'm not giving my attention to it. I see it. You know, people are like, oh my God, don't you know this happened? Yeah, but I can't do anything. Like, there was a tsunami and all that. Okay, I don't have power over the tsunami, guys. I'm sorry. Is it a horrible situation? Definitely. What do? I send that whole situation infinite divine source love, infinite divine source light, and infinite divine source healing. I channel that energy and I send it to whatever, whether it's a person, a situation, whatever, and I send that healing energy there. Because that's all I can, that's all I have control over. I can't fix it. I can't save people that live in Taiwan. I can't. And holding on to that vibration of sadness and injustice and the horrible, like, you feel sick about things when you see certain things. How is that benefiting you? And then we feel guilty because we don't feel bad, or we feel guilty because, what do you mean you can just go on with your day and all this horrible thing is happening? Well, right? So it's all programming. And we need to really step out of that old programming and step into this new programming of, I am my own programmer. I'm my own storyteller. I am my own story writer. So how am I using that for my highest and my greatest good? And for the greatest good of my family, you know? So that we aren't perpetuating this continued action of nonsense. I don't want to do that. I don't want my kids to suffer. I don't want my grandchildren. I want my grandchildren, my children to grow in a healthy, beautiful, supportive environment where we are a community and where we care about each other and where we allow each other to be our highest frequency and be on our highest timeline. Like, we can choose the timeline that we're on. It's just, it has to come from within you. It has to come from that place of acknowledgement, self-awareness, taking responsibility for ourselves. Because if you can't take responsibility for yourself to say, you're in a bad relationship and you're blaming that other person. Oh, them. It doesn't work that way. It takes two to make it and to break it. So we have to take responsibility for our wholeness and who we are in life and how we show up for ourselves. Because that is what is creating this whole new world, I guess you would say. I always get that Aladdin song in my head. So a new fantastic point of view. It's there. We just have to choose it and allow it to choose us and not be combative or not put up that sense of resistance. Remember that song, Putting Up a Resistance? Yeah. Don't put up the resistance. Be transparent. Use these astrological alignments and this energy, the CMEs, the Schumann resonance. Use all of this for your benefit. Because if you say yes to change, and you say yes to love, and you say yes to having a beautiful life, you will live that life. You will experience that life because your inner source is like, oh, okay. Projection. We're movie projectors. Oh my God, the world's horrible, and well, guess what? This is what I'm experiencing. So it takes time. It takes consciousness. It takes being that conscious creator and knowing that the distractions that are going on are a distraction. And they want us to be in fear. They want us to be in a degree of separation. Like, even over the whole, 2020, like, they wanted us, there was teams. Like, there was separation. Nobody was focused on what the actual stuff that was going on. It was all about distraction. And we need to separate and segregate people. Because if we're fighting each other, what happens? Right? So instead of trying to make it right or wrong, whatever, you do what's good for you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you do what's good for you. And I'll do what's good for me. And we'll all be this community of compassion, understanding, acceptance, and being in this energy of allowance, where I love you and I value you as a human being. Maybe we don't vibe on the same wavelength, and we can't, we're not gonna hang out and be besties, but go live your best life. Oh, I don't like your socks. Right? And people, she's like, you're just coming for me. Right? I don't like your socks. But people want to get all up in arms about things like that. It's like, if you don't like something about me, that's okay. Like, I don't have to be angry or make up an excuse, say, oh my God, they're ugly and they're this. No, instead of saying, oh, do you like my socks? They're not my flavor, but yeah, if you like them, why can't we just be okay with that?
Yeah.
Why can't we be okay with that? I don't have to convince you that my socks are awesome. Who cares? You need to be confident in, I love my socks. They're cute. Right? That's it. And we can still be friends even though I don't like your socks. You know what I mean? So like, we have to think of the higher perspective, the bigger picture, because this is what's giving us our human experience. So use the next like January, February, March, guys. This is the power of change, and this is where things are. Remember the Rubik's Cube?
Yeah.
We're aligning. We are the cube. So we have to choose, do we want to be aligned? Or do you want to be in the chaos and the 3D and the ick and the distraction? That's basically, as my mom says, shit or get off the pot. You make a choice. For me, I'm choosing 5D, New Earth, whatever you want to call it. I'm choosing love. That's it. However that looks for me. And I hope that everybody else is the same, because every single human, every single being deserves that feeling of source love. I don't care who you are. And if everybody felt that, the power of that love, there'd be no hate. There'd be no violence. Because if I hurt you, I hurt me. And like, that's the core of everything. Like, so when we have that understanding, then we want to be our best. Because then I don't have any anger and I don't have any hatred. I'm like, do you, man? Do you, boo? Like, it's all good. Right? So really take this time this year to, these first 3 months, release, reset, review the whole retrograde feelings, like, get into your power and know that I don't need this. It's like cleaning your closet. Oh, I don't need this. I haven't worn that in a year. Energetic cleansing. What do you want for you? What are you holding on for you? What don't you want for you? And how do you see things unfolding for you? And then the rest of the year is all about that, things coming into fruition. So from now till the end of March, and then in March we plant our seeds, and then things come effortlessly into fruition, because we're allowing it and we're being transparent. Okay?
I choose love.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.